today I will be continue where I stopped in part 1 of this video. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, please try to stop or pause this video and you watch part 1 first. Then after that you can continue with this part 2. Now in this part 2 video, I'm going to continue and give you more examples on CSS question. Then after that, I'm going to give you some basic information on HTML, some few information you're supposed to know in HTML. Now let's get started. The first question we are going to treat today is this one you are seeing on the screen. And you can remember the software we are using is Notepad. But today I'm going to introduce another software to you. We call it Notepad++. Actually, it's a good idea to learn CSS with Notepad, with this basic Notepad, but it's not too bad as well if you have this software in your computer. So Notepad++, and of course you can use it in your exam as well, in your IGCSE exam as well, in as much as your center is having this this software. Now, the benefit of using this software is going to suggest some few things for you. You know, in HTML, you remember in Notepad we use, you actually have to write every single thing yourself, but in this Notepad++ is going to suggest some codes for you. Now, let's get started now. As I always tell you, whenever you see a question like this, you can start anywhere. You can start, from the simplest to the hardest, or from the hardest as well to the simplest. It's up to you. But I'm starting from the top today. Now, the first property says table. Then you open curly bracket and you close it. Open curly bracket and you close it. So table. Then what happened to table? It says the position of the table is center aligned within the browser window. We've done this one several times. In fact, I will even suggest, if you can try to do this on your own, try to pause this video, try to do it on your own. Then after you finish, you can now continue watching this video to compare your answer to what you have in the marking scheme to what I'm going to do here. Now, the first thing says the position of the table. I told you whenever they are talking about the position of the table, very easy. So what they are talking about the margin. So you see, as you even type margin here, this one is going to suggest what are the margin, the type of margin you have. But if you are using Notepad, for sure, if you type table, then curly bracket and you type margin, you see nothing is suggested. You just have to figure it out yourself. You need to know exact code, exact command, syntax. But if you are using this software, it's going to make things quite easy for you. It's going to suggest some few things for you. Now, margin. So margin what? I told you last time it's going to be margin right. Then you say it's automatic. Then margin left. Then it's going to be automatic as well, which is auto. Right? Then afterwards, it says that the size is 600 pixels wide. That is talking about width. If you haven't watched part 1 of this video, please try to watch it first before you continue, so that you can have explained this several times in the previous examples I gave you. Now, this one says size 600 pixels wide. That means width. All right, then it's 600 pixels, which is px. Now, after that, border, no visible border. It says no visible border. Then you just type border style. You click here and you type border style. Again, how do you know this one is going to be border style? For sure, whenever they say that there is no visible border, which means the border style is going to be none, it's going to be 0. All right, it's going to be 0. Now you are stopping here. They don't give you any property which is going to be shared between table and TD. Now let's do for the TD now. As I told you last time, TD, you will not be told that this one is TD, this one is table. You just have to figure it out yourself. But one thing is, whenever they are talking about padding, as I told you last time, whenever they are talking about padding, they are talking about the cell. about cell itself, that's table data. Table data, it means the cell. So I believe you understand this. So, but for those who didn't understand yet, so let's say this is a table, all right? This is a table, and you are having as many cells as possible. This one, we call it a cell. Cell. Now, if I ask you now, how many cells I have in this table, you tell me it's 9. But in Microsoft Excel, yeah, you can call it cell. But in CSS, we normally call it TD. So which means this one is a TD, this one, anything they are talking about cell, then definitely that one is a TD. Cell is the same thing as table data, okay, which is the same thing as TD. So pay attention to that. So there are two things we are going to do here: cell spacing and cell padding. Cell spacing and cell padding. How do we do that? For cell padding, you just need to say padding. What happened to padding is 10 pixel, 10 px. Then for the cell spacing, that one is going to be border style as well. It's going to be border style. Then what do we say? We say it is none. Border style is none. And of course, because this one is the last one, there is no need of putting semicolon. Sorry, this one as well. Since it's the last one, there is no need of putting semicolon. The next one, it says H1. Let's look at the H1. What do we need to do in the H1? H1, the color is red. But if you take note, you will see H1, the color is red. H2, the color is red as well. Then, what about the font? I think one thing I'm supposed to draw your attention to here is how to make your code efficient. Look at the common thing. Look at the common value to all this property. Look at the common value to all this property. You will see that this one is common to everything. It is in H1. Then it is in H2, it is in H3, and it is in the list as well. It is in the list as well. So pay attention to that, which means you need to write all of them together. You need to write this together. How do we do that? Very easy. So you just need to say H1, comma, H2, comma, H3, comma. Then what about this list style? What do you use to represent list? That's li. Li is, we use it to represent list. What happened to all these H1, H2, H3? All of them, they share the same property. What is that property? Is the font family. I told you before now, font family. What is the font family? The first one is area. And if area is not available, then it needs to use calibre. Then if it is not available, then it's going to use the default sans serif. Simple. Just only one line. Just only one line. We've done that, and you don't need to repeat it again. Now let's look at H1 and H2. If you see H1, comma, H2, there is one property common to both of them. What is that property? Look at it. It's the color. Both of them, the color is red. So color. Actually, you can be asking me, why do we need to write it together? Because the question already asks you to make it efficient. If you make your code to be efficient, then you're going to get extra mark for that. Now, color for both of them is red. Do you remember RGB? Right? RGB. R stands for red, G for green, B for blue. So which means hashtag red is FF. Then it means there is no green and there is no blue. Everything is only FF. That's what color red is. Simple. Just only one line. This only property common to H1 and H2. Now, let's do H1 separately now. H1. What is that thing that is only peculiar to H1? The color, we've done that. The font, we've done that. The font size. Font size for H1 is 36. So then how do we do font size? You remember? So you just say font, then font size. What is the font size? Is 36 pt. 36 points pt. Then after that, it is center align. How do we do center align? Then that will be text align, right? We say text align. What happened to text align? Text align. Then it is center. It just needs to type is center. Simple. This is all what we need to do in H1. Now let's go to H2. In H2, all what you need to do here, let's look at the question. The color is blue. The color is red. We've done that. The font, we've done this because it's already here. Then the 24 point, just like what we did here. 24 points means the font size is 24. That's 24 is font size. Then 24 pt. Then after that, it is left align, which means text align, then it's left. We finish. Now next, so H3. What's the next thing we are going to do in H3? Let's look at it. H3, the color is blue, you see, and this, the list, the color is blue as well, instead of doing it separately. So what I mean by separately, because some of you might be thinking, hey, you are saying separately, what's the meaning of separately? Okay, I will do it separately now. Okay, now H3, the color is blue, so you say color, you remember RGB, so hashtag, then R00G00BFF, because it is blue, which means we turn everything off, only the blue will turn on. Now what about the H3? What about the font size? Even though we've done it before, but I just want to show you what we mean by doing it separately. Font size, you can just copy everything we have here and just put it here straight away. The font family, like this. Then for H3, the font, we say font size. Font size, what happened to font size is 14 pt. And finally, it is justify, which means text align, then is equal to justified. You see, which means all this property actually belongs to H3. But instead of writing things so much like this, I can, just delete this one. I don't need to write it here again because I've already mentioned it. H1, H2, H3, and LI, all of them, they have font family of this, which means whenever I'm talking about H3, I don't need to repeat this one again. It saves my time and it make my code very neat. You see now the color is this. So, but I'm telling you about the color. So since H3 and LI are sharing the same color, we can just say H3 and LI, both of them are sharing the same color. Then I close it. Then let me create another one for H3 now. So H3, it has a property that it's never shared with anybody. What is that property? So the font size is 14. None of them is 14 font size. That's why we didn't join it. So we write it under H3. Then the text align is also justify. Even this one is also just, you see, LI is justify, H3 is also justify. So we can just write it together here. So text align, then you say justified. Text align is justified. So since I've already mentioned it here, I don't need to mention it here any longer. So the only thing I will need to write in H3 is only this, because the remaining two property I've already mentioned it with LI. Now let's see the LI itself. LI, what happened to LI, which is the list, the last one? The color is blue. I've already mentioned it here. It is justified. I've mentioned it here. The font size, the area, the font family, I've mentioned it somewhere here. The only thing I'm going to write here is font. which is 14 points. Wow, it's even the same. It's even the same. Look at it. So I don't need to write anything separately for LI any longer. Let me just mention it here that this font size, since it is 14, just put it here. So I don't need to mention anything for H3 any longer. I believe you guys, you understand what I'm doing. If you don't understand, please, you can leave a comment here, then I will answer your question. So what I'm trying to do here is look at list. I told you list, we represent it with LI, all right? So list, LI, and H3, they are sharing the same property. Both of them are justified. Both of them are 14 points. And both of them are blue. So that's why I write them together. I don't need to write it separately. It saves my time. But what about if you write it separately? Are you going to lose mark for that? Well, you might lose like 1 or 2 marks for that, because the question already asks you to do it efficiently. So it is your choice. You can just say, no, this one, I want to write it separately. This for H1. And this one is for, but you never benefit anything in writing it separately here. This one is just only for H3, and this one is only for LI. So to save your time, you can just comma and you put LI here, and both of them will share the same property. That's actually what we are doing. And we finish this, you see, very simple CSS. We finish this. Now I will show you another 2 more examples. And after that, I will now talk about HTML. I believe after that, you'll be able to answer any HTML, any CSS question you see by His grace. All right, see you. Now, I'm going to show you another question. You see, this one is just only 30 marks. These 30 marks, you can get everything, everything. The question says, open the style sheet, this, in a suitable software package. Then the style sheet needs to be updated to add the following specification. Set the background. I told you whenever they are talking about background, it means you do it under body. I told you several times, either background image or background color or whatever, you put it under body. Just like padding under TD, then background under body, all right? Now, what are the background here? Which one comes first? As I used to tell you, the first thing is the background color. You see RGB, you remember the RGB? R comes first, followed by G, then followed by B, which is the blue. So let's do it. We say background what? You see, this software is a very good software. It's even suggesting for you. What are the things you can do here? We are going to use all this one, you know. We are going to use all this one. So background color, what is it? RGB, you start with hashtag. If you forget this hashtag, so you won't get marked for that. Now, RGB is going to be AB. It doesn't matter whether it's capital letter or small letter, but you write the way they give it to you, by the way. RGC5, B, then A4. Simple. Next, the next question says, set the background for the web page. Set the background for the web page so that the image, which means they are talking about the background image now. Background what? Background image. What happened to it? You remember how we normally do background image? You say background image URL, then you open quotation mark like this. This is the syntax. Then you can now put the name inside. What's the name? N20bg.extension. The extension is JPG. Simple. Just like this. Now, the question says is placed in only the top right corner of the window. Only the top right corner of the window. Top right corner of the window. Which means you need to talk about the background position now. Background position. What happened to it? It is top. Then it is also the right. You see now, 2 things. Top, right. Top, right. Then the last thing you need to do is the background repeat. Then, since the question didn't say anything about repeat, then no, then repeat. If the question say it is repeated, then you just need to write repeat. But if it is, since the question didn't say anything, it means the background repeat is no repeat. So take note of this. How do you know, teacher? Nothing is mentioned here. Nothing is mentioned here that background repeat or whatsoever. Automatically, in as much as they are talking about background image, then you need to put it there. If it is repeat, then you just write repeat. Then if they just silent about it, then you need to say no repeat. So that one is 1 mark. Don't forget. Now the next question. Set the font for styles H1, H2, H3. H1, comma, H2, comma, H3, comma. Then what happened? And for the paragraph style and P. We normally represent paragraph with P for paragraph. And paragraph style to select area. So which means the font size. So you open this, you open curly bracket, font family, font family for this. What is the font family? Is area. Then if area is not available, then Helvetica. Then if that one is not okay, make sure you complete it the way they write it for you. And if that one is not, if neither of these fonts are available, to select the browser default sans serif. Sans serif. You see, they actually follow the same style. So that's why if you try to treat as many questions as possible, you can easily get 100% here. So then finish. Then the last one here, the last one says set the paragraph style to 12, which means P, we need to set it to 12 points. You remember? That will be font size. Font size is very famous. Font size, then text align, font size, text align, then background color, TD, table, border, padding. All those things, they are just common things. You just need to memorize them. No teacher can help you on this, by the way. You have to help yourself. You need to memorize this. That's what your curriculum is all about. All right? Now, font size. What is the font size here? It's 12 pt. And fully justify, which means text aligned. Text align, what happened to it is justify. It's justify. Then you just press, no, sorry, this is the last one. Then the last part of the question says, add your name, center number, and candidate number as a comment. This is another 1 mark. You remember how I told you you will do comments? Like this. Slash, star, and then you write whatever, then star again, and slash. Then you can write your name. So there, just say ICT Made Easy, the name of this channel, then whatever your center number is and whatever your candidate number is. You get the point. So then save this style, then you just save it and you show them the screenshot and you can claim your 30 marks. You see, just very simple, just as simple as this. Now, for the last one, I'm going to show you another question here. Now, the last question or the last examples I'm going to give you is this. So look at this question. This one says, all table borders and grid lines are blue. All table borders and grid lines are blue. So which means we are starting with, I told you last time, if you can remember, whenever they are talking about table border, I told you it's all about table. All right, that one is table for sure. And whenever they are talking about grid line, that one is TD. There are two things I told you is a clue that will help you to know what is TD. Whenever you see padding, then you know it's TD. Then whenever they say grid line, then you know it's TD as well. All right. is TD as well. So take note of all these things. Then, however, how do we know? This one says all table borders and grid line, which in both of them they are together, table as well as TD. They are going to share the following property that we are going to mention. Okay, what are those properties? We say that table, comma, TD, they are going to share the following property. So what are the property? The first thing is the color of the border, because it's talking about the color of the border. So we say border color, border, then color. Don't forget there is a difference between text color and border color. Admin is talking about maybe H1, then they are talking about the color, then for sure that one is going to be ordinary color. Whatever it is going to be ordinary color. You get the point now? But this one is talking about the border. So then you have to differentiate between the text color and border. So how do we differentiate? For the text, it's just ordinary color, simple. But if it is border, then you have to add it to it, border color. So take note please. So don't make mistake and don't lose marks because of those simple difference. We say that border color now are blue. You know, remember the RGB, which means everything is 0, only the B is FF. So no red, R, no G, green, RGB. Now with solid visible, So if it is solid, so then you need to say border style, border, then style. What happened to the border style? Then you say it's solid border style. So take note. So they are talking about the border. Everything here, right from beginning, they say is border. So border color, border style, and some other things we'll be doing. So with a solid, and it is collapse. You remember the border collapse? Border collapse. If they say it is not collapse, then you need to say it's separate. We've done this several times, but since they say it is collapse, then you need to write collapse. Simple. So they say collapse, then border collapse is collapse. Then the last one is the width of the border, which means the border what? Border width. What is the size? Then it's just only 2 pixels. Simple. And do you know another way of writing this if you don't want to write all this? Another way of writing this is this. You can just say border. Then, what is the color? The color is this. 0000 FF. Then this is solid. Then it is 2 pixels. Then it is collapse. You can write it like this as well. Just only one line, which means all this property, all this value, they belongs to this property, which is the border. And you can separate it like this. So the choice is yours. But which one is much more better? Of course, this one is much more better because you simplify. It means you know what you are doing. You simplify the work. All right. But if you write it in just only one line, for sure that one is much more efficient and you will get extra mark for that. Now, all cell padding within the table. All cell padding within the table. I told you whenever they are talking about cell padding, it means that just ordinary TD. That's ordinary TD. You get the point? Ordinary TD. Then it's padding. Then what do they say? It's 10 pixels. Padding is 10 pixels. Simple. Now, add your name, center number, and candy number as a comment. Yeah, this one very easy. Slash, then star. Then you write your name, ICT made easy. And then your center number. Then you write your candidate's number. Then star and slash. And you can claim your 8 marks. You can claim your 8 marks. You see that CSS is very easy. Now, so I'm going to stop here. I don't want to make this video so long. I'm going to stop here. And you too, you can try and you can try to look at different past year question, and you look at the CSS, you try to solve it on your own. So now let me talk about HTML. Now, for HTML, hypertext markup language is quite easy, because they will not be asking you, by the way, to write HTML code. You are going to use the software, and the name of the software is Microsoft Expression. So it just click, drop and drag. It's just very easy to do. Part 3 and part 4 of this video, inshallah, I'm going to work on that. So I'm going to show you how to use that software to solve the problem. But there are just few things you need to know in this HTML as well. So you have to know HTML is a content layer, as I told you in the part 1 of this video, and it is building block of web page. Then it consists of a lot of tags. The more tags you know, then the better your HTML knowledge will be. The majority of the tags require closing whenever you open them. A very good example is the bold tag. If you want to bold something, you have to. The good news about this HTML is it just looks like the English we are speaking. Bold is represented by B. Italic or italic is represented by I. Underline, what do you think? Represented by U, because it starts with letter U. Then image, IMG. So it's just very easy to learn the HTML tags. You don't need to know so much here. Just only few things you need to know in HTML. Then the image tag, it doesn't need to be, when you open the tag, you don't need to close it. Basically, there are some tags. When you open them, you have to close them. Majority of the tags, like 98% of the tags, HTML tags, when you open them, you have to close them. Just only view, you don't have to close them, okay? You just open it only, you don't have to close them. Now, the tags. If whenever they ask you to do anything like a bold, then you have to open the tag of B, you close it by slash. The same thing with image, then table, order list, on order list, and list. All right, you can go through this later, and I'm going to show you some examples. However, there are some few general questions or general knowledge you're supposed to know about this. You know, the question might actually ask you, what is the meaning of anchor? What is the meaning of anchor? Anchor means it will let you link to a specific area in a web page. That's what we call anchor. You might see a question which might ask you, what is an hyperlink? Then this is it. It's just a text or image. When you click on it, is going to transfer you to another web page. All right. Then what about if a question asks you, why is it important to test a web page? Why is it important to test a web page? Then very easy. You just say that just to ensure all the components of a web page are working correctly and properly before you publish them without any mistake or any error. All right. Now there is something called functional testing. Functional testing. So check if that's when you check if hyperlinks, you know, anchor, email links are working properly. Then you try to do all the images, do they appear properly? Then the table structure, is it correct? Then what about the style sheet for the CSS? Then the correct image size, then as well as correct use of borders. Are they everything correct? Because there are some few questions they might ask you. There is something called functional testing. What's all about? What do you need to do there? These are the things you do when you these are the things you check whenever you are doing functional testing. Then another thing is test table. So the question might say something about this as well. They just say test table is all about test how expected actual action taken. For example, what are you testing? What do you want to test? You want to test for a table, you want to test for CSS, is it working fine or not, or you want to check whether the hyperlink in the website is working fine or not. How? The test is checking for hyperlink. Then how? Then you click on each link in your website. That's how. Very simple, right? Just click on each link in the website. Then what do you expect? Yeah, you expect every single link or every single hyperlink to link to a specific page or to a correct page. All right, then the actual action taken. If it doesn't work, then you have to do something. So now the user testing. That's when you ask a user to give you the feedback. That's when you ask a user to give you feedback about the website you just created. Just as simple, just the feedback, just as simple as that. So now you don't, as I told you, we do have HTML is a programming language, CSS is a programming language, but according to your curriculum, they spend more time on CSS than HTML. HTML, you don't actually need to be memorizing the syntax, just like the CSS. CSS, yes, you have to do that, but HTML, you don't have to know so much in HTML because you are going to use a software to do that for you. All right, so the next part of this video, that's web authoring part 3. I'm going to treat a past year question for web authoring from A to Z. Then I will show you how to do that. Okay, then part 4 of this video, I will do that as well. I do hope if you watch part 1, part 2, part 3, as well as part 4 of this video, web authoring, then in your paper 3, you won't have any issue with regards to web authoring any longer. All right, so see you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Bye.